The big thing is not only is that the case, but we're also recruiting guys with high expectations. And I think that's the big shift that you've seen in Penn State from year one to now. And talking about the running back position, as we were earlier, a lot of questions about the 2 top 10 backs in the country. We're recruiting guys with expectations that, hey, you want to come into a top 10 program that's going to compete for championships, you're going to have to compete for a job. And I think they thrive on that. Those are the type of student athletes that we're bringing in.
What do you do now to sort of take a step back after, the long regular season, training camp, and then you're on the road from November 27th, I guess it was, or 29th till today? I mean, what do you do now?
Well, the long and the short of it is you don't step back. You keep pressing on. As you guys know, we're already on to the 2020 and 2021 class, and in some cases the 2022, and we still got a lot of work to do in this signing class with the second signing period and what we have going for it. As James mentioned, we do have wiggle room. There's some prospects and targets that we're still hot and heavy on. So I guess you don't take a step back. We just continue to press forward and try to make the thing a little bit better every day.
You get a couple days away though. I mean, do you get a few days to sort of just?
We'll have Christmas. We'll have Christmas, but there's game planning involved, and obviously the communication never stops in some way, shape, or form. But I think obviously the NCAA dead period helps that a little bit and things like that. But just kind of continue to press on.
When you recruit and you talk about development and go, hey, I'm going to turn you into this kind of player, can somebody like Saquon almost hurt that message in the sense that obviously you guys have a hand in his development, but he turns out to be so good from just things that he has on his own? Is it hard to tell a kid, I'm going to turn you into someone like Saquon when Saquon's generational?
Right. Well, that's why we recruit the parents so hard. They have a lot to do with it. I think James says, but I don't think we're ever looking for a Saquon. If you just talking about the running backs, we're looking for a Devin Ford. We're looking for a Noah Kane. We're looking for a student athlete that we feel like not only fits our school and institution, but fits our system. And I think that's the best way to go about it.
Is there a difference though between taking a guy that's if you take a 3-star guy and turn him into a 5-star talent, there's a tangible sort of progress that he makes over his career in Saquon.
Right.
As much as you guys make him better, there's a certain argument to be made that he got good because he was always going to be very good.
Right.
Is it almost better to have guys that, maybe that 3-star that turns into a 5-star than a 5-star that...
As long as they develop and become good players, we don't have a problem with it. It doesn't matter which way they go. We're just trying to identify guys. I think the biggest thing you bring up there, we're always trying to identify a guy that has a little more room left to get better, has a ceiling. We like to recruit guys that we say have high ceilings. I think we identify guys that we think are not only ready to come upgrade the roster right away, but also have a ceiling to develop in their 3 to 5 years while they're here.
Can you compare and contrast Ford and Kane a little bit? How are they different? Are they a similar type back? What is
I think they both have unique skills. I think where they're similar is you look at the production over their entire high school career. I mean, they're ultra productive players. They know how to find the end zone. They're great at breaking tackles. And that way I think they're very similar. I think Noah's obviously a little bigger right now physically, but not much. I think we picked 2 guys that we feel like are going to fit in our system well, so I don't know if I want to contrast them too much until they get here. I think we'll find out even more about them, but I think we brought in 2 guys that fit what we do very well.
You've probably hit on this already, but Brenton Strange came up here and had a really good camp at the end of the year. I was really impressed. I'm sure you guys were as well. You offered right away. Just what can he bring? Because I think personally, I think he's one of the more underrated guys in this class, and I think you probably think that too.
Yeah, we're super excited about him. I think West Virginia football has gotten much better.
I've seen you there. I've heard you've been down there.
Yeah, we've been down there a few times, but it's gotten much better. I don't think it gets the state gets the publicity it deserves. We talk about Brenton and his high school coach and the program he comes from with a proud tradition. I think it's much better than people realize. But I think the biggest thing with Brenton and what impressed you at camp is he has a high ceiling like we've been talking about. He's got a lot of room for improvement, but you talk about a player that's been ultra productive, a guy with over 1,000 yards receiving this year and over 60 catches, and that's not even to mention he missed his first 4 games. So, yeah, with a little dinged up. So
pretty good on defense too.
Pretty dang good on defense. I think that's what impressed me the most. The hardest thing in evaluating tight ends now is you can find the pass catcher, you can find the blocker. It's hard to find the combo. They're playing. You hope that the guy you're bringing in at tight end particularly in the offense that we play and the amount of times that we target him, is an elite receiver in his offense in high school. So you see that a lot, but maybe you don't see the guy strike. We've got a chance to get a guy in camp, evaluate him, see him live, and he's a two-way player that doesn't mind sticking his face on someone. I think that's the biggest thing that excites me about it.
Is there anybody else who you think maybe flew under the radar? Now that you've signed them, you don't have to worry about other people kind of poaching them.
Right.
But Terry had mentioned Keaton Ellis on defense. What about offense? Are there guys that you thought maybe didn't get the love from recruiting guys like Ryan?
Mark's a recruiting guru too. You know?
Yeah, you guys are all good. I think the biggest thing is kind of how the class started off is you kind of take for granted the guys that were committed the longest. Right. So when you talk about a guy like Taquan and guys like Caden and guys that you get down this stretch and you get enamored with the late decisions and things like that. It's kind of those foundational guys that were a big part of recruiting your class and being bought into Penn State from the beginning. So those two guys kind of stand out to me that have been consistent, never wavering the entire time, and then you watch the class build on their foundation.
When you say wiggle room moving forward here, does there ever have to be a conversation about possibly adding guys this year versus what you might be able to add next year and in years moving forward, or is it more of a let's deal with now and we'll figure out down the road in terms of space?
Yeah, I think we're always trying to project going forward in the 2020 and 2021 classes, but I think also there's the immediate need to fill your roster, and I think that takes precedence. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at our needs by number, what positions we need to add a piece to, and I think that's what Coach is talking about with the wiggle room. We have a chance down the stretch here to add a number or two based on our roster availability with the 85 scholarships.